How the game goes on, guys, as pick and ban has started here for this best of 5 between the two challenger teams. One of them will make it into LCK after today.
And let's see where the attention is in the bans and if there's any adaptations, because the Aatrox, the first one we spy with our little eyes, will not be available. First pick on the blue side. BattleComics was actually awarded side selection in games 1, 3, and 5. They chose blue side for game number 1, probably hoping for an Aatrox. That is usually their pick. Kai'Sa's going to be blue side ban. They don't want Nuclear to pick it up first round. So Varus Kai'Sa already 2 bans towards the AD carries. We'll see what follows up from there, because we've seen all manner of crazy AD carry picks ever since the LCK final had the return of Death's Jinx.
It's definitely an exciting time for the bottom lane, has been, especially for the second half of the year when the awesome dudes came in. But the Rise, a very common ban as well, going to be taken away. And now what do they go for on the first pick? Are they going to pick for Dove here, or maybe just try to take Tahm Kench, which is still available?
Seems like they're going to try and actually prize away Xayah Rakan. Now the Rakan may just be taken away by DAMWON Gaming. Quite 7-0 Rakan this season already, so hard to really answer that too much. We see a lot of Xayah Rakan red side with so many bans. I think Rise first pick would have come. Dove defaults to Aatrox or Rise first pick basically every game. We'll have to wait and see how BattleComics works around that. The Rakan is taken away, and it's Rakan Ezreal. So while Rakan in his laning phase without Xayah loses a bit, Ezreal ultra safe, as we well know.
Nuclear kind of just going down the tier list for himself. 13-1 on Kai'Sa after Wednesday, or rather Tuesday. And also Vlad, Xayah, and Ezreal at 3-0 for his next best picks.
Against Rakan, you can go Leona if you want to attack the lane. The Alistar's the other common pick, but actually it's going to be Shen, so it takes away from the laning phase power a little bit. Goes for some more playmaking around the map. Maybe Dove will hold on to his pick longer now that he doesn't have a first-round mid laner that he defaults to, like the Rise and Aatrox. Waiting to see. Junglers also often are going to be considered in the first round. Soar is a tank-only player most of the time. Jace is the only carry-style champion he plays. He's going to wait and just take whatever tank is available in the second round, and it does end up being a jungler for Onfleek. When he's not playing his trademark Jax, he has been defaulting to Olaf recently.
Yeah, seeing a lot more Olaf nowadays, especially with all those CC junglers that you can see from time to time. Dove, or rather, the Olaf just loving to run straight in. And how about Nikali here, probably for Showmaker. Looking to put on a show once again, has only played it once in the past season.
But there has been a lot of Akali play in Challenger, because unlike the LCK, where we did not have Akali enabled for playoffs, it was regular season still in Challengers, so she was played. Dove, for example, has already played 4 games of Akali, 1-3 scoreline. Not ideal, but it just lets you know that there's a bit more experience on the pick. Do you ban away the pocket champion? Lissandra is probably the most famous pocket champion against the Akali, but not everyone plays it. Don't have Crown in our games today. So the Galio is one standard answer into it. The Swain is another one you can consider pretty easily. You can go Grass Swain and sustain through. So far, 1 ban against the Akali. It's going to be the Mundo, so banning away one of those reliable tanks from Soar.
Yeah, the Ornn still suspiciously left up here from the side of DAMWON Gaming. They could think about taking it for Noguri. He has played Ornn 4 times, won all 4 games. He was very impressive on the Gangplank yesterday. I believe those were the 2 picks that he did actually play. And yeah, I think it wouldn't be a bad first pick on the red side here.
Can be really risky to take GP into Akali, because if Akali wins lane, she'll probably find GP and win that lane in the side lane as well. So can be really tricky. Kindred banned away here, so trying to take away some aggressive options from Punch. Could just default to Sejuani. There's been plenty of that so far, and they get the Akali, which is a skill matchup into basically everything except for Lissandra. And then they'll get the counter pick for Noguri. So now finally we are seeing what feels like a traditional DAMWON Gaming lineup here that's all about the solo lanes. The Ornn, conspicuous, you mentioned it already. We wondered about a first round Ornn. Works really well with Olaf because you have the ultimate flying in as Olaf charges in for some more teamfight impact. Now the only question is, what is the pick into the Akali? Because if it is Lissandra, Gotta feel like there will be parts of the game where the lower damage output of Lissandra Xayah as your only damage threats might be a problem, but for the mid game, it really does shore up things for BattleComics.
Yeah, definitely like that pick alongside the Xayah. I feel like they'll have a decent amount of damage from the jungler, where they were able to get a pretty nice matchup after banning Trundle and the Kindred. Definitely like the look of the draft here from BattleComics. Things could change, though. The counter pick for the top lane for Noguri. We'll see what he wants to take into that Ornn.
Do you go for another carry and just try to 1-3-1 BattleComics to death? Do you go for a 4-1 comp and group with a top laner? It seems like a carry is going to be the choice. This is on the Akali side rather than against Akali. They've got another tool to use for map movements, and following Lissandra can sometimes be tricky for Akali if she's not the first one to rotate. There's definitely an element of risk here. You leave open the Lissandra, it's accepted by BattleComics, and a good matchup in the mid lane for BattleComics, and you extend that to the fact that you gotta feel like Lissandra Olaf is a very good invading duo. If Punch gets caught by 1 CC, the axes start, and they probably never stop.
Yeah, and the thing about DAMWON the other day was that Noguri had his moment, Showmaker had that really cool play, otherwise, you know, kind of just mediocre. Nuclear and Hoito really popped off. Punch was kind of the guy in the background that didn't really have his moment to shine. He was just the tank jungler on the side of DAMWON that was just doing his job, was very, you know, average. We'll see if OnFleek and Dove can try to take advantage of that. The other thing I want to mention is Noguri, will he just go for that very greedy build-up on the top side with the Kleptomancy and Sorcery second once again? Definitely an option, as he has done it before.
If you saw a Zac on the enemy team, I think definitely. Against the Olaf, it's a little bit more bold because he's happy to come topside and kill you. Toot sweet. We'll see also if he takes any resolve tree, because if you remember, Valdez, he went Sorcery second as well. So he was certainly trifling and then some.
That he was. So Noguri, from that early game greed, he got very behind, but then eventually came back, you know, halfway through the mid game, and we're like, what the hell? This guy is doing way too much damage. But that's the gangplank for you. Noguri very, very confident and good on the pick. 7-0 so far from what we have seen. So we'll see if he can do it here alongside the rest of his DAMWON teammates. But BattleComics looking to make a name for themselves. Would like to take the first game. The countdown has started. Let's jump into the match right now.
Cheers. Is anyone gonna cheer?
생성까지
No one's gonna cheer.
Kind of sounded like.
Wait, I think Costa Sung, the Korean play-by-play at Spo TV, was explaining
He
how to
definitely
do
made a
fighting
joke.
chants.
I think he was saying, yes, just keep it in your hearts. I couldn't quite hear what he said, but that's what I would like to imagine he said, as he loves to
Rip the
fool
crowd.
around. Yeah, rip the crowd for sure. He's done it before. And, you know, DAMWON Gaming the other day, they did have a chant. BattleComics was actually the one team that did not have a chant, as, you know, DAMWON has that reputation of being the next Griffin, the next big challenger team to take over the world and take over LCK. So they already have their small cheering squad, but I guess today they didn't show up.
But you know what is showing up in this game, Valdez? It's the choices made by the solo laners. Against the Sandra, we have Ignite coming through from Showmaker instead of Cleanse. And then, to Noguri's credit, he did not go Sorcery second, but he went Domination second anyway. So we see no Resolve GP against the Ornn and Olaf, and we see Ignite as the choice in the mid lane. Now, the reason you see this is that most mid laners will always take the Ignite on Akali just for kill range, just the amount of secure you have. This is patch 8.17, not 8.18, so the ultimate nerfs aren't there. So if you only know the kill range, you're always tempted to take it in normal situations. Lissandra's probably the best pick into Akali because in every single way, she has an answer. Against the Shroud, she has 3 AoE skills to be able to hit it, potentially 4 with the ultimate. So there's always ways to interact with the enemy and has good gank assist. Speaking of ganks, though, this is early.
Yeah, Dove just walking up to the brush, and he's going to have to force this flash away. Dove does not have his E. It looks like actually no. Punch is not going to follow up too far, but here comes the Akali. He does have Ignite, but doesn't use it, actually. Decides to save it in hopes of just getting the flash, and that he does.
I think he was just a half second too late using the Ignite, want to get the combo off and then use Ignite for the kill. In the end, not able to use it. That'll be frustrating for Showmaker. He's considering a flash Q play. In fact, he's just going to interrupt with the E. All right,
I like that.
Makes more sense. Nicely played. Level 3 is hit. Almost always you'll see Shroud at level 2 by Akali's, but was able to take the E. Doesn't quite secure the kill, but this is already Showmaker flexing a bit and justifying the Ignite choice a little bit.
That's what I really like about Showmaker. I know this isn't, I'm going to hold the thought as, well, Dev was thinking about going for it, but the Shroud is there. But the thing about Showmaker is that you can tell, you know, even though it's a competitive game, even though it's a lot on the line right now, he's just going balls to the wall, and he doesn't seem to care, right? And that's really fun to watch, right? It might not be the best competitive choice. Kind of reminds you of a Faker that just went all just head forward, trying to win the lane 100%. And nowadays, mid laners have trying to take a step back and not be as aggressive because that's the higher percentage way to win the lane. But Showmaker doesn't really play to that style all yet. He hasn't been converted by a macro coach just yet. And he looks like he's having a lot of fun. It's definitely fun to watch and cast.
And of course, that's the reality of a team that was a level above in Challenger. DAMWON 13-1 lets you know that they did not have too many times they were feeling competitive. And even though BattleComics took them down 2-0, DAMWON were playing subs. They weren't necessarily in any kind of danger of falling out of first spot and getting auto-seeded into this tournament. So it was a very low-stakes loss for them. Joker does miss the taunt on screen there. Seeing Dove rotate through. You already mentioned it during the pre-match, but if you were watching streams yesterday, you would have seen Showmaker and Punch duoing and having a great game. It was 9-1 Aatrox for Showmaker against Faker at the start of that game. They went on to lose it, but certainly Showmaker plays with confidence. Let's see if the Ignite actually punishes him, but if the game goes long enough and he can hit the side lane with a Gunblade and Ignite Norn, maybe there'll be kill pressure on 2 members and justify the summoner choice.
So many members getting really aggressive in these games. I like it. On Fleek trying to get on top of Punch. We talked about Olaf versus Sejuani. Not level 6 just yet, but still can be really annoying with those axes and try to get in there. Joker thinking about a roam of his own as Hollow did go back. And look at this, On Fleek's still here. He says, you want to try to go for Raptors again? I'm just going to come in and take them.
And this is the point in the game where BattleComics do bridge, because the early game, when you can jungle around Lissandra pre-6 Akali, then you're definitely going to be winning the 2v2. We said we want to see aggression from the Olaf, empower the Olaf. We've said that about a lot of drafts and players and not seeing the Olaf actually play aggressively. But On Fleek has been on point so much in the 2 games we've seen, and I love that he's playing around a timing. There's also a bigger timing, 1-item completion for DAMWON, Trinity Force GP, and also 2-item Ezreal and Gunblade coming onto Akali, where BattleComics will really have to be careful with how they approach the game. And then by late game, they've got the more true engage and the more balanced teamfight comp, and they might take over teamfight. So this game does feel BattleComics into DAMWON, and then potentially if the game goes long enough, swinging back to BattleComics. It's all about playing to your timings, and so far so good from BattleComics.
Definitely got to like it. I'll be curious to see how Dove handles the mid lane now that Showmaker has double Summoner. I'm going to hold the thought as Sora is going aggressive up into the top side. You can see that damage coming in. Noguri just trying to survive here. Is just going to shoot him in the face. Instead of that barrel means he doesn't get that speed up and, well, did just walk away. Either way, does survive without using that flash.
If you use the orange early, you might die in that scenario. The extra healing was actually pretty relevant through all of it. The biggest takeaway from Sora, who has played in the LCK before, if you're racking your brain saying, where have I heard that name? He was actually a top laner for Sonic Boom in 2016 and 2015, I believe. But no longer on that squad, and now on to BattleComics, a tank player for sure, but his teleports were really, really on point in playoffs, to a point where it was better than a lot of our LCK top laners in terms of TP timing, so expect him to be in the right place at the right time, as always.
Definitely a solid guy to have up in the top lane, just a guy who can play all the tanks and sometimes mix in a Jace. He's going to have good teleport timing. Definitely a good, solid foundation for On Fleek and Dove, who are going to do more of the flashy plays. Speaking of which, we do have Showmaker getting aggressive in the jungle right now, just waiting, but he did use the plant, so they know that he is right there.
See, another thing you can do when you go Ignite against Lissandra is play to your summoner rather than play to the matchup and say, if I find a level 5, level 6 jungler with this Ignite, I'm going to kill him real fast. Speaking of level 5, level 6 junglers, there's 2 of them.
Look at Punch, perfect positioning, kind of predicting the gank to come in, was thinking about a play on the top side, but was just waiting for On Fleek more so.
Showmaker keeps trying to find someone. He might still be tempted to take something aggressively, but Dove is showing the fact that he's going to back up his jungler. Again, if you got Ignite, try and find someone to kill. Seems like you won't find anyone just now, but Showmaker always on the front foot.
Showmaker definitely going to be looking for the 1v1, not any kind of 1v2 or even a 2v2 could be hard because he doesn't have cleanse, right? So if the Lissandra ults him, you have the burst damage that comes out of Lissandra and in Olaf, you're probably going to die before you can even get a Shroud off. So got to be really careful and pick your fights carefully.
It's really frustrating because the first axe is usually something Akali just shrouds, but then Lissandra comes in with W, Q, E, and R, and that can still not be enough. Seeing a little bit of a collapse, but not going to be any true investment here. Joker has his ultimate, level 6 hit on everyone as Punch is trying something.
Looking for Dove here, a lot of stuff committed. There's that Stand United, but he gets the ultimate off. That's going to be really important. Flashes away, and the Olaf damage comes in for first blood. Showmaker able to trade back a kill though, but will he survive? The Shen hopping forward will help pick up the kill, and now Hoyt in a little bit of trouble. In comes the Predator from On Fleek. He's looking for it, but Hoyt is able to smite and actually not get hit by that one. A little bit of lag on the backside, but On Fleek gets 3 kills in a row.
Visual lag a bit awkward, but On Fleek comes in, smites the blue for extra health, and then can take down Hoyt. Nicely done by Team BattleComics. We talked about how this game was going to swing from the early game over to DAMWON game and then potentially back to BattleComics. Now let's talk about the fact that that time hasn't come. The 1 items aren't there yet from DAMWON Gaming. So we see the start of this play. If they can burst Dove before ultimate, that's what they need. But this ultimate from Shen buys enough time for the self-ult, healthy enough, and we know all about the CC coming through. The 1-for-1 not worth it. And On Fleek, who's gone into the magic resist shield coming through on the sorcery tree, picks up 2 kills and then picks up the 3rd, comes in, and after the Q poke you might think this is over, but walks over, smites, takes down Hoyt. Now it's a super-powered Olaf, and suddenly this game turns very quickly.
We saw what On Fleek was able to do when he got ahead on the Olaf against MVP in game number 1. And now we're going to be seeing some more of that. He's going to be tanky, already has the Merc Treads completed. He is going to be a force to be reckoned with onto this map, and man, that's a really good start for this jungler that we have our eyes on.
And you just know that whatever happens in this series, there's already going to be those posts on Reddit saying, what about this On Fleek guy for SKT Jungle? He seems pretty good.
Yeah.
It's another thing about these promotion tournaments is that 2 teams will be eliminated. We know there's good players on all 4 teams in this tournament. It is still a bit of a shopping trip for some of the other squads looking to top up, because especially if a team doesn't make it to the LCK, there's already players on all the 4 squads you look at and say, maybe he'll be good for us.
I like that you mentioned that, you know. Depending on contracts and the sort, it can be hard to buy out players and stuff like that. But when you're talking about challenger teams, a lot of those buyouts are cheap. It's not super hard to pick up these teams, especially for a big organization like SKT. So, you know, they're watching very intently in all of these matches, even for the members of BBQ and MVP. And that's really exciting. You know, I love Dove's play. I think it's very balanced and nice. On Fleek seems to be more of the star player on the lineup. And even DAMWON Gaming have their share of high-level players.
And look, if that's all we come away with, a couple of extra players we know the name of and can now talk about more intelligibly when it comes to squads, that's a useful thing. So I do appreciate the fact the shopping window will soon be open. If you guys look at the contract database, you know November is where most players' contracts expire, but when it comes to auditions, I'm with definitely the buy on the BTC On Fleek in this particular game. Yeah. Gonna put a buy on that particular Bitcoin.
It's going to the moon, man. That's what we know about BattleComics. Everybody was talking about DAMWON Gaming. Not a lot of people were talking about BTC, but I can definitely see a big increase coming sometime soon, especially if they beat DAMWON Gaming in a best-of-5. Because, you know, that little mark that we always talk about, how it was kind of DAMWON Gaming's B team that was playing up against BattleComics when they won the game. That's part of the reason why BattleComics made it into playoffs, and part of the reason why they're here now. And DAMWON Gaming maybe going to be regretting that choice, especially if they lose in this best of 5.
Yeah, to finish your point, 8-6 regular season, 4th place overall. The Challengers playoffs are 2nd through 5th as DAMWON just skipped through because they won the regular season. So you're right, it was probably very, very competitive around the 4th and 5th place spot. Here comes the Rift Herald. The charge isn't going to kill it straight up. It's very, very low mid-health turret.
On Fleek wants to get close enough. They'll just let Olaf get in there, and actually an ultimate use here. No cleanse. There's the taunt, and they have enough damage to get him down before any Twilight Shroud makes it. And look at this. We still got the Rift Herald looking for another push in the mid lane.
And that's the other side of Lissandra. Press R, no skill shot, no problem. They get the secondary charge, 50% health mid lane turret. Already Joker's leashing the damn red. They're trying to just take over the whole map in one go.
Dude, on Fleek and Dove, this duo, impressing me every single time I see them, even more than Tuesday now. Really loving to watch these guys. It's not what I expected, but let's take a look at how this happened again.
So I believe the Shroud was still on cooldown as this play starts. It would have been available around now, but of course, the CC is just so beautifully overlapped that there's no gameplay for Showmaker whatsoever. He wishes it was 12 hours ago when he was still in that solo queue game, but in this particular game, things are looking pretty sharp already from Team BattleComics. On Fleek backs away. Awkwardly, he has all of the kills. He is 4-0.
You know?
But if this was Peanut, and remember back to his big Olaf game in the past, maybe the Trinity Force will be found from somewhere. If not, a Snowball Black Cleaver is going to be coming very early.
That's the thing about Olaf, you know, it can be good into jungle matchups, but how about when you're 2,000 gold ahead of the enemy jungler? What are you going to do? We all know what happens in solo queue, right? You just pop off, you're going straight at the Ezreal Rakan, and they can't do anything because Rakan can't stop you, and Ezreal can only arcane shift once and flash. It's going to be a very, very strong Olaf here in this series, and
there's always
exactly
two schools of thought, right? When it comes to junglers from ahead, do you build damage or do you build tankiness? Always the question on things like tanks and junglers. There's definitely different ways to play it. Given OnFleek's playstyle, feels like damage is coming. Maybe Black Cleaver, Hexdrinker, maybe Phage Hexdrinker in one purchase. To basically say, well, I've got a bit of everything. What are you going to do? We'll see what the choice is. There's the Phage. It's going to be straight up Black Cleaver coming as fast as possible from this Olaf. And if it's pre-20 minutes, that's a whole lot of Olaf to deal with.
DAMWON definitely need more time for the Ezreal, the GP, and the Akali to really get online here in the mid-game. We have our first item spikes for the GP and the Akali, but Ezreal's still working on his second item, so we won't be seeing too much of him. He's just been sitting in the bottom lane for now, but look at On Fleek. He's already down here in the one lane that I mentioned, looking to terrorize Nuclear and Hoyt.
I talked about those one-item power spikes being where DAMWON shifts things around, but because it's already a very big gold lead, 2,000 on the jungler, wherever Olaf is, that analysis doesn't apply. So basically BattleComics super powered when Olaf's in the picture. Otherwise, there's actually going to be a couple of windows for someone like Punch to start off a CC chain and get some kills back for DAMWON.
I mean, we're early enough on into the game. Nobody has a QSS, and nobody has cleanse outside of Hoyt, who was the only one who took it on top of Guardian. That's not, you know, a unsealed spellbook for that Rakan.
GP, of course, gets to cheat a little bit with the oranges, but otherwise, we're definitely looking at Showmaker, who didn't find that kill. If he could have killed the enemy jungler, it's a different game, but he never got the assassination around 6-7, and thus the Ignite looks a bit silly.
Okay, well, they're looking for a play up in the top side. This is only On Fleek with that Predator. The flash on in from Soar. Here we go. And this is the Olaf. He doesn't take any damage underneath the turret. And Nuguri tries to flash away, but there's no escape from the Olaf, who's now 5-0.
And that's the problem, is because of the Olaf being 4-0, your flash is useless. He's going to go on the turret and kill you anyway. So tries to be skillful there. The ultimate misses, but Soar and OnFleek had very good communication where they say, it doesn't matter what misses, something will hit and he will go down. Those turrets should go to the BattleComics duo. Actually, no, there was with 3 members bot side, they just about win the race.
Yeah, at the end of the day, isn't going to matter. The first turret already taken in the mid lane by the Rift Herald, which, by the way, OnFleek was able to secure after his great early game. And let's take a look at how this gank came in once again.
It's good communication here. Some teams would start to orb walk away, but watch Soar. He misses ult. He never feels bad about himself. He's instantly like, no, we have the kill. I'm flashing in. That sort of communication you need. Noguri plays this perfectly against a normal Olaf. This is not a normal Olaf, and he recklessly swings him to death. Enjoy Valhalla, he says. As the Black Cleaver, it might even be pre-18 minutes.
Well, he's going to back right now, and I guarantee he's got the gold for it, so let's see him pick up that item. Already on 2 items and some Merc Treads is the Olaf, and at 124 CS over 98. That is 26 ahead, so just about 6.5 camps ahead is on Fleek. Gotta feel pretty good. I mentioned how Punch is kind of the guy who's gonna sit back and do the tank jungler thing. On Fleek says, righty-o then, I'll play Olaf and terrorize your entire team.
And he blind picked it. It was the strongest combat jungler up. They play around the Lissandra. Everything in BattleComics comp makes sense. Again, you might say some damage issues when Lissandra starts to fall off, but games don't even go that long most of the time. Meanwhile, DAMWON, they were a lot more bold in their choices. They blind pick Akali, that's fine. They take it the perfect spot, 3rd pick on the red side. Where's that L button? Where's that Lissandra ban? We don't see it. Only the Galio. They banned, of all things, Dr. Mundo, which would have slowed down BattleComics comp rather than allow them to come online earlier. And then they seem surprised that Lissandra is the answer, and the Lissandra's done Lissandra things to the tune of a decent CS advantage, but more crucially, the playmaking to open up on Fleek, dominating the Rift.
Yeah. The one fight around the Dragon was really the fight that opened this up, right? The one that on Fleek got the 3 kills. That started with Lissandra, being Lissandra alongside of a Shen, obviously. So that whole combination coming together to keep her alive for long enough for DAMWON to just run out of damage and run out of energy, and then eventually the Olaf was able to stick around for long enough. So,
speaking of,
yeah, he's looking for more as the Ornn ultimate comes in, but this time we have Sejuani around. Is it going to matter is the question. Okay, nice little party prison. Olaf coming in with the submarine of Shen. Not much of a submarine right now, above ground. TP as well as Hoyt and Nuclear, the bottom lane, making their way in. DAMWON is going to have to disengage, so just a kill to the side of BattleComics.
Only a kill, and do notice that the end result of 4 people packing up and taking a trip to bot lane is that Xayah is left with Akali, and finally Akali says, ooh, someone I can kill with my Ignite. I mean, Xayah has to give up farm. Akali does get solo turret gold on the top side. Still, this is the right sort of move from BattleComics. You need to keep high tempo and keep flexing the Olaf. There is a bit of a cost here. No flash for Noguri, and he says, well, I'm going to die eventually. Even his teammates getting there first doesn't matter.
To add insult to injury, you have the Shen coming in. Joker 9-3 on the Shen before today. He finally was able to get it in this series. Looks a lot better on the Shen compared to the Tom Kench, I'd say. So definitely a nice pick for him so far.
Joker looks happiest when he can take a bit of a quarterback role. He is, again, as we mentioned last time out, the oldest player currently active in Korean League of Legends at soon to be 27 years of age. 1991 birth. That's older than old man score is the obvious line. So if he can play Shen, the enemy team doesn't actually dumpster them in the laning phase like some people have said would be the result of picking Shen on patch 8.17. He gets to press R. His ults have been perfectly timed to guarantee kills. He's just focused on getting the Olaf further and further ahead. Everything falling into place for OnFlake. Looking at the item crawl here, you can see what happens when you pick up objectives and kills. The Rift Herald's loaded in there. The Black Cleaver's coming out at the same time as the Ruby Crystal. Just really powerful purchases for BattleComics jungler.
Yeah, you can see that the Olaf is just about 5 minutes ahead of the build of Punch, and that's something you're going to love, especially early on as an Olaf. Question is, can they accelerate the game a little bit more here? So far, they've taken all the outer turrets away. The inner turret in the mid lane would be the nice next objective, but they would love a pick before they reach for that one. And how about the Baron? They don't have the best Baron damage, but again, if they can get a pick, which they definitely do have in their composition, that might be a reality.
When it comes to the Baron turn is what I'm most impressed by. Lissandra and the Ornn turn better than almost anyone because Ornn ults and Lissandra jumps over the wall. If you're a tank, you can get away, but if you're a squishy support, you die in one rotation. So if that cleanses down from Hoyt, perfect time to start Baron, as an inner turret will be another thing for the checklist, and it's already pretty low from that secondary charge of Shelly.
Looking for the engage now. Rakana's gonna find two. They have enough damage, but Dove gets that stopwatch right towards the end into the ultimate. Staying alive for a very long time, and there is that taunt. Gets in the back line, but Showmaker shows up, gets a couple of members, still looking for more. And although there are a lot of low bars on the side of DAMWON, they're able to win the fight. As the follow-up there from Nuclear and Showmaker was good.
My eyes went on top of Hollow, but he dies with his ultimate available. I think the Featherstorm would have been really important there. He's got a really nice CC chain through the Lissandra and the Shen ultimate, but in the end, those abilities don't come together, and DAMWON Gaming finally find a way back into this game. They take down the mid lane outer turret, and suddenly there's 3 turrets down on both teams so far. So let's watch the replay here. Again, because Dove is so low, it looks like it's going to be a catastrophe. But the first Lasonia comes in, and the self-ult comes in. Now let's watch Hollow and understand how he actually falls. His ultimate is up. The Ignite is burning on him, and he just gets one-shot by Showmaker's ultimate.
Oh, that's why.
That just shows a lack of understanding. If he lifts off there and the Akali doesn't pick up the kill, there could have been turnaround kills for BattleComics.
To be fair, he was in the Shroud and then all of a sudden insta-flash ultimate and died immediately. Of course, you know, if you are at the highest level, you should be able to predict something like that, but Hollow just caught with his pants down in a way, as Showmaker trying to make a show and bring his team back into this one. We take a look at the damage done in the fight, and Hollow did do the most damage even without his ultimate.
But it should have been 4,000, right? It should have been a Featherstorm on 3 or 4 members. They were lining up after the Shen taunt. Instead, he goes down. So do BattleComics hope for that fight. They're still ahead. Importantly, the Olaf didn't die, and he has an insane bounty. Remember, bounty start at 2 kills these days, so 5 kills already. We're talking 700-ish gold. Didn't even do quick maths there. Shout out to Quick Shot. That was just going for a guess in terms of the number. The Hex Drinker's now there for the Xayah. No Hex Drinker yet for Olaf. He wants Righteous Glory. He wants that first axe and thus death in a pit.
I love it. You know, we were talking about the target acquisition on the side of BattleComics, the Ornn into Lissandra, and you've got Shen coming in on someone, as well as the Olaf just running straight at them. So just to add extra ability to get in there as the Olaf is a good idea. Nuclear actually, Arcane shifting forward towards the Olaf. He's not scared of anything, it seems, in this fight.
I think the only lifesteal Hollow has from Legends Bloodline, because he went for the Hex Drinker, there's no Blade of the Ruin King, and a Xayah build, and his lethal tempo. Not the fleet footwork, so any poke onto Hollow, as you can notice, pretty consequential, takes a lot longer to lifesteal up. Finally, through the mid lane they push. What's BattleComics' next move is the ARAM doesn't actually get any advantage out of Olaf. Usually Ornn is a great ARAM champion when you group as 5 in the mid lane, but you want to play side lanes. And speaking of side lanes, everyone from BattleComics coming over.
It's just the Hunt Noguri show tonight, as Cannon Barrage going to come in, able to orange his way out of that one. But again, he's not tanky enough this early on, so they get the kill. 4-on-1, not so fair, but it gets the job done.
Amusingly, Shen support is left to deal with the Akali. Best of luck with that one. Going to be in the side lane for now. He can at least waste time, and maybe Showmaker can't one rotate, so they'll take the Cloud Drake, not the biggest objective to speak of. That's the trade-off with this Olaf. Because he has all the gold, you really, really want to play around him. But because he's not so useful in the mid lane, it doesn't get them a bigger objective, only can get them the Cloud Drake.
Someone looking to follow up here, and there it is. Dove on top of a ward is going to have that Zhonya. It's not timed correctly. Whoa! Look at that burst damage coming out from the Olaf and the Xayah. Oh, man. Nuclear now flashing forward, is able to get the kill, but gives his life. On the backside, you mentioned this matchup looks like Shen not able to stand up to Akali.
You just sit there not expecting any action, and instantly there's a huge burst. The Shen ultimate, I assume, would be wasted because he's level 12, and there was no health onto the Lissandra. Ended up being a 500-plus shield. Turns around, the burst comes in. Showmaker actually kills him on the back end. Not completely sure how that happened, but it definitely did. I actually thought this might have been the assassin's path into following the Shen through the teleport. Remember, that's the mechanic with Akali's E. This is what we were watching. Literally no health, so it's a full damage amount there for the Shen ult, as Joker's was actually interrupted there, interestingly. I don't really know how that happens. He's taken down through it all. All right, I'm not really clear how that didn't actually finish.
I think Lissandra died fast enough so that he wasn't able to actually get in there. So the shield was there, and then afterwards he kind of I guess he was looking at the fight because he was running straight at the Akali that has
makes
2
sense.
kills. So
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Actually didn't think of that, but that does make perfect sense there. But with so much action in a situation where we just assumed the Lissandra would die. End result is a bit of disarray. Another kill to the Akali. 8-0-2, legendary Olaf. Holy crap.
100% kill participation as well. He is running the game. You could definitely say his Olaf is on fleek. Probably the last time I'll make that joke. You got to do it once at least. It's his name, right? So having a really fantastic Olaf game. And again, it is Olaf. You know, he's got to have his team behind him to actually finish out this game. But now Righteous Glory and the Chain Vest, he might just be able to carry it by himself. Just has to deal with the Akali, I'd say. But has tankiness otherwise.
I believe that Chain Vest is going to turn into a Guardian Angel for even more offensive power, as he's now 3,700 gold ahead. Actually, just 3,100.
Could also go for a Stone Plate if he wants to just stick in there, right? He's not going to be able to be taken down, but also just stays alive forever.
So you'll notice almost no one at the competitive level buys Stone Plate. I think one of the reasons for that is actually also on Righteous Glory. Actually, I wasn't thinking of Stone Plate, I was thinking of Dead Man's Plate.
Oh, yeah.
But Dead Man's Plate and Righteous Glory are these interesting tank items that we almost never see. I wanted to bring this up about Righteous Glory because the recipe's so expensive. 1,100 gold to be sat on for a jungler could take forever when you're refreshing control wards. So given that, we almost never see these items. It's a snowball Righteous Glory. Seems like you're on the right point with the Stone Plate. I think Stone Plate might be the consideration here, but it could be Stone Plate, could be Guardian Angel, could end up being both.
Yeah. Could be
out
either.
of nowhere, but this Olaf is running at one of Showmaker, Nuclear, and Nuguri and taking them out before the fight starts.
That's going to be his job. He's incredibly tanky and also has the damage to back it up. And if everybody's attacking the Olaf, well then Dove and Hollow are just going to hop on in and everybody dies. So we'll see how these fights do go down. DAMWON Gaming not out of it just yet. Just about 2,000 gold behind. Still have an opportunity here to come back. And looking for that Showmaker carry. We saw what Nuguri can do from behind as well on the GP. Still haven't taken out this inner turret just yet. You can see On Fleek waiting in the top side. Is going to find Showmaker, who's going to miss the Shuriken, just trying to get away from there. But in the end of the day, he's zoned away, and the turret will go down.
And that's a great trade of personnel. Not often the 8-0 member is the one you want on your flanks, but it's a great way to keep Akali from getting in, and that makes DAMWON so much more predictable. Noted already that the Baron damage and speed isn't so fantastic from BattleComics. They still really haven't started the objective, and the Olaf is the one most likely to be caught out. But when it comes to a turn like this...
Boy. Here we go. Can they run from the Olaf? Not when you got an Orin on the backside. Look at Nuclear just melt away. And Olaf still has more where that came from. They get the 80 carry. Didn't have to blow all too much to get it, but where will they go from here?
On ult down, but everything for Lissandra is up, so they could definitely try Baron this time. They're not, though. If a spotting plant comes in, they'll see some members. They won't see this, though.
Joker did use his flash in the last fight. On Fleek also does not have his ultimate just yet. Nobody trying to get some barrel damage down, but here's the Lissandra right on top of him. Has that turn you were talking about. That's one extra member now. It's 5-on-3. Can DAMWON Gaming actually stop this Baron? It's going to be a rough feat. Maybe Showmaker has the damage to do it by himself. Punch no longer has his ultimate. Dove here sneaking up to the right side, looking potentially to come from behind. Still has his TP. Maybe he wants to come back, but here's Showmaker. Gonna get to the back line and a 3-man knockup from the Rakan, but do they have the damage to burst him down? Doesn't look like the answer is yes. His punch nearly gonna go down here, flashes away. Showmaker now getting in, but the Baron will go over to BattleComics anyway. Nuclear also jumping in the back line, and Showmaker will be taken out. In the end, they get the 2-for-1 in kills, plus the Baron. BattleComics able to make it work.
It's a boiler room brawl in the Baron pit. Everyone's low. The Baron is low. They're trying to chase out the enemy smite. Nuclear teleported back in and died a second time. There's a lot of Fiesta in this, but it is controlled in some ways. Watch where the Baron health gets to. The fight starts. No one aggroes the Baron. When that dive came in, you assumed everything was going to go to hell in a handbag, but both junglers have stopwatch and forced really low. On Fleek bursts the Baron because of all his damage from 1,200 in a way you wouldn't have assumed an Olaf could do, but that's what happens when you're fed. Some big streaks go to the side of DAMWON Gaming, but crucially, not the Baron. It goes to the team BattleComics, but not on every member.
Yeah. Nuclear gets in there. I believe the person he killed was the Olaf, and he had to flash Arcane Shift to get into position and try to stop that smite from happening, but he does trade his life for it. The summoners are kind of unfortunate, but that is a hefty amount of gold to get that Ezreal online now as the game is going a little bit later, 32 minutes in. But the Baron here taken by BattleComics, still 5,000 gold ahead. Let's see how much they can bite off from this Baron power play.
Well, do consider that their pure sieging is not fantastic. They don't have a great 1-3-1 champion, as neither Soar or Dove have huge threat onto turrets. They're a short-range comp. Xayah, the only person above 500 range, is not going to be fantastic. Their dive, though, and especially if Ornhorn and Olaf Ragnarok are used, their threat of zoning is pretty good. But there's always a higher amount of risk in a play like that. And if Showmaker gets his man and takes down Hollow, things can actually be turned down pretty quickly from the side of DAMWON.
Got to be careful. Love that you mentioned the Ornn. I feel like he's that foundation by which they can kind of just go for these big dives from a very long distance, and he's been really good on it so far. Looking for another win here. Trying to push this bottom inner turret, but as you mentioned, pretty hard to siege this unless they go full on in with the dive, but not committing to that just yet.
Not clear if Joker actually kept his Baron buff. He did. That's very important because he can now play 1-3-1, and we know he is the team captain as well, so can do some shot calling while he slowly pushes up waves. He's actually 2 levels ahead of Hoyt because of his time in the side lane this game. So far, those ults have been really good. Probably the best Shen support ults we've seen in terms of timing. But the communication being good between Dove and Joker and Onflake, those have been the 2 recipients. Here is Dove. They're trying to play 2 lanes here at BattleComics.
I like it. Actually, Onflake going to come on in and slow everybody up alongside the Ornn. And, I mean, the Olaf and the Lissandra able to rotate so nicely with that wave that was coming in. Looking for a knockup. That's going to go wide. It zones them out for now. But there's that big engage from Hoyt. He makes that recon work, but Showmaker in the cloud. Can he get anyone? No, he's able to burst down by the Olaf. The big barrel by GP gets everybody low. And Nuclear on full health is desperately looking for someone, but Hollow gets in with the big aggressive play. Takes out that last member. They would love that inhibitor, but it doesn't look like they'll get it. One more cannon hit will actually on the backside. And BattleComics effectively able to disengage.
BattleComics showing the same front-to-back team fighting strength that we saw in promotions and also 2 days ago in this series as well. They were so restrained around Showmaker. They were not interested in doing anything except kill the Akali first and reevaluate. This is what happens when the Ornn is up. I thought it might be a first-round pick for BattleComics. It falls into their lap in the second round. We knew he'd select it after his aptitude on the pick was already showed. Showmaker 10 more seconds, but BattleComics, they're looking for more.
Look at Onfleek. He doesn't care about anyone or anything right now. He's going to get on top of Noguri. He has red buff too, and the orange is not going to keep him alive. They're able to dive into the backside here. Showmaker, though, looking for that 1v5. Can he actually burst down Hollow? Here's the question. He'll get one. The Ornn is going to be stuck here in enough CC, able to lock him down for now, but trying to just zone them all out here is Joker. The big engage. Joker should go down on the backside. Will Soar go down as well? Almost takes out Hoyt on his way out, but not quite able to. They dive very, very deep for that. Not able to get any kills, just Noguri, but then have to back away.
Speaking of dives, though, BattleComics didn't actually get the turret on the top side. I believe it's very low health, but that means DAMWON can push 1 wave and then make plays. That means they can contest something like an Elder Dragon, which would have been impossible if this turret went down as well. The zoning play was what you'd usually do with the Ornn, but already the Olaf was so deep. Health bars were about 50% as this begun, and Showmaker respawns, able to get some punishment. But will it be enough to truly turn the game? Your first thought is no.
BattleComics very far ahead, but again, you have to have timers on especially the Akali and pretty much anyone on the enemy team. You don't want to be diving in that case. You get the 1 kill on GP, then you rotate to top side and you get at least the turret and then maybe back away based on the death timers that we had for DAMWON. But they bite off a little bit more. I would just knock that one up to maybe inexperience or just, you know, challenger level, but they've been pretty good overall. I'd say they even look better compared to Tuesday, but still a couple of mistakes in there.
Huge damage numbers because the last fight is actually the entire rotation through mid into top after Showmaker died. It was so long that Ezreal hit, I would imagine, upwards of 20 Mystic shots during this, and was able to put out 10,000 damage. Misleading in terms of the long time there of the team fight, but shows you that they tried to make two plays work. We remember Noguri popping off at the end of a GP game he started poorly in. Now you look at the scoreboard, he's 0-5-3 in this game. But then you look at the items and say, these are actually items that can do the same sort of havoc in a team fight, especially when the last item here, probably a Guardian Angel, is complete.
Seems to be the idea. You got to be careful when you're dealing with a GP after 40 minutes. Doesn't matter really how the early game goes if everybody eventually gets to 6 items, especially a champion like the GP. But BattleComics here, I feel like they still have a nice grasp on the game. They'd love to take the Baron and push to end rather than let this game go on any further.
I want you guys at home to also appreciate that while so far BattleComics have not been the world's best at closing games, it's really hard with no siege to close a game. Lissandra games, often you can get some really good advantages in the mid game, but unless you're team fighting, she really doesn't offer very much value around the map compared to other 1-3-1 mid laners. So given those realities, it's going to take that second Baron, it feels like, for BattleComics to close the game. They've got the Ornn ultimate, they've got Flash up on Dove. If their setup here is good, there should be kills to back it up.
Double TP on both sides right now. The Ornn, Soar, and the bottom side just getting that push going. I like that, you know, the top side pushing, bottom side pushing. They're setting up the lanes prior to actually getting in position for the Baron. Not the best deep vision, actually good defensive vision from the side of DAMWON Gaming to deny any big teleport wards so far. They are going to start up this Baron regardless, as it doesn't look like DAMWON going to get close enough. They will spot it though now with 2 ultimates and stop it for now.
GP ult, Ezreal ult, blue trinket. These are cooldowns you have to remember. Now both were used, GP and the Ezreal. Seems like BattleComics aren't going to return just yet. We're getting a wide zoom of a potential teleport ward, which, as you notice, that control ward behind the Wolf Pit, actually, in a spot that just hasn't been explored by DAMWON.
It's a good one for Elder Dragon, a little bit far for the Baron, but see how they want to handle this here, BattleComics. They are ahead, but double objective can get pretty dicey.
Sandra was first going to go bot lane, but it's already slow pushing, so she slows down and now is just setting up around Elder. Is this going to be a trade of objectives for now, actually? BattleComics are out of position on the Baron. Remember, they have a 3-stack Elder to turn to as well. No Infernals on Mountain, sadly for them, as Hollow walks up on ultimate.
Oh, they want to get that engaged to the bottom side, but they actually find Noguri able to snipe his flash on the backside. Hollow gets very low. Doesn't have his teleport just yet, and so they could use that as an advantage here, as DAMWON did see the health.
Doesn't have a Bloodthirsty yet either, as you'll notice. So because of that, lifesteal, as we indicated earlier, is at a premium. Went for more Malmortius. Is that more situational item? That means that DAMWON can start the Baron. They've got good Baron damage as well, and they already have it down to about 10,000, but BattleComics are around. Hollow, about 2/3 to 70% health at the start of this.
It's going to be a hard one. They're just sending Punch and Nuclear to do the damage. The GP and the rest of them just trying to zone out for now. On fleek, incredibly tanky, plus the Guardian Angel. And it's getting a little bit too dicey. DAMWON is going to have to back away.
It's some solid calls from BattleComics. They realize there's no way you're 50-50 against a level 18 Olaf, who will get in the pit whatever you do. Nuclear, what are you doing?
That's not your red buff Nuclear. That's actually not even your jungle at this point. You can't just face check on in there when there's an Olaf. And that means now, with Nuclear and Hoyt backing away, they're going for the Elder Drake. They might be able to get it here with the help of Elise from Nuclear.
Ezreal is so far out of position, has teleport, but it's not just going to be a dead Elder before they can even get their freebie to the side of BattleComics after Nuclear's small error. And the fact that DAMWON just had no information on the bottom side of the map. So yeah, good trades there. And I love that BattleComics showed so much restraint. The Baron got to 4,000, but when you have a level 18 Olaf, and it's just Korea where 50-50s so rarely happen, you know the enemy team is just pranking you. They're never going to actually finish the objective.
Hollow just finished his last item, the Guardian Angel. Picks up all of that farm, just looking to push that one out. We mentioned the slow push in the bottom side that actually took out an extra turret, but at this point, guys, we're 42 minutes into the game. Everybody should be nearing 6 items. And you got to question which comp is going to be better for these super late game fights. Of course, not everybody is level 18 just yet, but we're minutes away from getting to that super late game.
And it feels like Lissandra can now just play more of a bodyguard style like we talk about with Urgot and just allow Hollow to take over the game. Has enough items with the true damage on Feathers passing through, does crazy damage in the late game. Akali doesn't shine in these fights, but she's looking for a flank.
Okay, it is down to about half health at this point. He gets the taunt onto Showmaker, though. The Twilight Shroud comes in, looking for the knockup on a Nuclear. It's one-on-one. He got Shen on top of him, too. Do they have the damage? Yes, they do. They take out the Ezreal on the backside. Dove, though, did have to Zhonya's in the top side as Showmaker trying to get on top of him.
He's done.
But they're able to 3v1 him as he did have help. A couple of bodyguards, and now we just have Noguri trying to TP away from this one. Should be able to save the turret, but the rest of BattleComics going for the mid.
TP looked comical, but he wants to stop the turret just dying to minions. No interrupt available for the Olaf. Definitely going to lose mid lane inhibitor. The minions are close enough. They should lose more, and the game might just straight up end. The death timers are so long.
Yeah, we got the two carries on the side of DAMWON Gaming. Of course, they still have GP, but GP against 5 full health members with 2 Guardian Angels. Another great engage from Hoyt, but it doesn't look like it'll matter as Noguri is going to go down. The flash on top of Hoyt as well. Just looking for the kill. Looks like actually BattleComics going to come up with a big win here in game number 1 over DAMWON Gaming.
And they definitely win me over in terms of the fact they play very much keep it simple League of Legends. They focus on those front-to-back team fights. Their jungler has definitely lived up to the expectation. On Fleek has looked, just like his name suggests, on point. It's been a really good game 1 performance, and now a 3-0 streak in the promotion tournament coming through from BattleComics. They can keep recreating that, and if DAMWON Gaming keep trying to make it a bit complicated with cool flashy assassins in the mid lane and counter pick carries topside, seems like Team BattleComics might rewrite the history book and actually be the first team qualified into LCK Spring 2019.
You can tell the energy in the booth right now is really high. Everybody looking good. You mentioned this team, right? They have 3 players with a lot of experience, a bit older, right? Joker, Soar, and even forget the guy, Nuclear,
yep.
Right? Down in the bottom side, but they definitely seem to have this experience, and they're just desperately trying to make it in to LCK finally. And we'll see if they can do it. It is only game number 1, but we'll take a look at this last Baron fight.
DAMWON seem like they have big names and big personalities who are all so sure they can carry with the pick they have. Meanwhile, BattleComics are putting it together holistically and executing as a team. Joker linked up with his teammates much better on the Shen compared to his Tahm Kench games. On Fleek got raid boss status so early, legendary around 20-25 minutes. And that was all they needed. Very nice stuff from BattleComics. Again, really, really impressed. We came in with near no expectations for this team, and suddenly they feel like the front runner for first qualification.
On Fleek, kind of looking like the evil genius from the jungle, trying to carry this team alongside Dove. But that's just the first game, guys, in a long best of 5. Let's see what happens after a quick commercial break.